Hello and welcome to Together We Feel. I'm so happy to be back with you this week. I took a little hiatus last week. I was on a great adventure with my family as my husband checked off ballparks 29 and 30 on the list of major league ballparks that he has been to. He's hit them all. If you're a baseball fan, that's a big deal. He was quite popular in Kansas City and the seats around us. My daughters made him a sign. My youngest daughter designed a T-shirt for him. It was quite fun. And also he was sicker than a dog. so the rest of us enjoyed a lot of things outside of the baseball piece while he was just staying in bed, hoping he could get himself, because we've been planning this trip for a year now. And so there was no way he wasn't going. And also he was so sick, unfortunately. But we made it work. We got to see some amazing things. And isn't that how life goes? Like, it's nuanced. It is nuanced that we can both be feeling dreadful and also having an amazing experience. And that's what I love. That's why I refer so much to the layers on here, because it's layered. And today is a Come As You Are panel. And we're going to talk about those layers of what feels good and what feels yucky and what's working and what we need support on, and coming together and just supporting each other and how we're feeling right where we are at today. I'm coming to you from my bedroom because my husband fell asleep on the couch and he's sick and I didn't want to wake him up. So again, life is nuanced, and welcome to my bedroom. That Rachel Lavin and all of her organization prowess helped me to organize. So I feel good about it. If you need help organizing your space, go to our show notes. She's your girl. So yeah, that is our ad that we ran today. To start Together We Feel. I have Nadine Ellis joining us from down under. Literally, she is in Australia. It's Tuesday morning there. She reports that Monday ended well. We're all in one piece. We're happy to hear that. The world's a wild place. Kim Mosman's joining me from the Midwest. And then we've got our two Southern girls, Rashonda and Rachel, joining us from North and South Carolina. I'm in Fresno, California, where it's the first day of fall, but still feels like the first day of summer. So on that note, welcome, ladies, to Come As You Are. I told you all earlier, I'm feeling kind of like wild today. Like, had this incredible experience with my kids and husband, and also been like kind of on this personal reckoning the last month of trying to find the balance of and I've talked about this on this platform a little bit before, but transitioning from not just being a passion project, but also to a business. And I'm working with a PR marketing person right now who's kind of holding my feet to the fire on, like, if you want this to be something people actually are willing to purchase things and invest in, then you have to act like it's a business. You can't just continue to give things away, your time, your energy, be mindful with your messaging, all these things. And so I kind of had this reckoning of like, oh, poor me. I've created this space and no one wants to buy my stuff and wah. And Drea being like, no. We have a gap in the messaging. It's all there. Perk up. You're all right. And so, yeah. So like having this, like, and I think as women, I was talking to my husband about it. He's like, men think nothing about charging for their time. Nothing at all. They would never in 5 million years give away all that you give away. I'm like, I know, you're right. It is very, and I'm fabulous. And you all know this from working with me, some of you more so than others, that I am fabulous at lifting you all up and demanding you charge for your time, not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually. I'm not so good at that with myself. I still have a lot of narratives stuck in my head about what is successful and what is productive and what brings value to the world and la. So I've been working through a lot of voices in my head and really having to really hone in on this framework I created and really sinking in and applying it to myself as a reminder that I will always need this. This isn't like something that I'm just doing and now, oh, you can have it too. And you do it and you feel great and you'll never need it again. No, I continue to have to remind myself of these things I already know to be true and am sharing with other women, and also being mindful of those deep down instilled narratives that are there about who we are and our value and what productive and success means for us, and not being afraid to, and I had this whole meeting with my staff about this. I'm like, this starts with my leadership. This is not a reflection on you guys, but we give away a lot of things on here. We give a lot of free exposure to women that come on this platform, which I'm proud of. And also, I can't do it to our detriment, that people don't understand that we are a primary resource and not resourcing ourselves out to everybody else's resources. And that feels weird coming off my tongue. And then at the same time, if I'm working with Kim or Rachel or Rashonda or Nadine, I'm totally telling you to do that. I'm the first one to say, you're the resource. I have to apply that to myself. So I have to give myself my own pep talk that I would give the rest of you. So that's where I'm at today. All right. I'm going to go to Kim next, because Kim is here because sometimes days are hard, but you show up anyway, because if you can get with your people, it's going to feel better. And that's the choice that Kim made today. So Kim, I'm always happy to see you, and I'm extra happy to see you today.
Yeah. I'm a true believer that I land where God needs me to land every day. And today was just crummy, and it was full of anxiety. And that's not a thing for me. I don't and somehow, some way, two very dear friends, both of them that I work with, Rachel and my coaching partner Leah, both like they just randomly reached out, and I was honest with them. And I'm like, I don't know what this is that I'm feeling. And both of them cared for me. So like, I don't know. I'm just so thankful to be in this space. And truly, the people that cared for me today, I didn't know 2 years ago. And it's just such a testament to staying out in the world and meeting people, and not just relying on yourself. Get out there, do panels, do podcasts, write the books, do the things, because you never know who you're going to meet that is going to lift you up. But my hang up, like you're saying, I'm in a different place because I'm technically retired, but here I am trying to be busier than I've ever been in my whole life. And it all stems from just wanting to care for people. But just when I get on a roll, and just when I feel like I'm like fulfilling my calling, somebody comes and crashes down on me and calls me out, or feels threatened by me, and takes the wind from under my sails. And I just let it get to me today. And thankfully, I'm not related or married to any of the people who bring me down. So, yeah, I just, a lot of good people today pulled me up and made today a good day. So that's where I'm at. That's where
I
I'm
love
at.
that.
Yeah.
So good. I love that. And it just goes that testament to, it matters who you surround yourself. And it matters who you surround yourself with in every season. And because who you surrounded yourself with 10 years ago might not fit now, or they might not have the words to say. It doesn't mean they're not still there, but I think it's just continually being intentional about who we're engaging with, how they impact us, how we impact them, how it impacts our energy. And it makes me so happy that you knew you could come to this space and feel seen, known, loved, and just accepted right where you were today. And that is the whole hope that I had in creating it. So thank you for that. That feels good to know.
Yeah. It's just good to finally reach that point in your life. And I think we're all there. Whereas, like, I don't have to pretend. Now, if we were recording something that was going to go out on your podcast, could I fake it? Sure, I could. But I love having these spaces where I can just be Kim, So,
Yeah. I think those are so important for us to have. All right, Rashonda, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I was thinking about what you were saying about the voices in your head. And I think I get so caught up with the voices in my head a lot with, just kind of like what you said. You put out so much and you do so much, and it's just you wonder uh, who's listening to it, who's looking at it, who's, like you said, who's gonna buy it, who's gonna. And honestly, the voice in my head is the reason why that story gobbled different. Like I wrote that back in 2020, and it took me this long to even, because I was listening to the voices in my head saying your first book, children's book, didn't do well. Nobody's really looking at it. Nobody's gonna buy that. So I really had to just hone down and just be like, you know what? It's not about what people do or what they don't do, what they buy and what they don't buy. At the end of the day, I have to do what I feel like God is calling me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, not to be go straight to the dark, but when I stand before him, I want him to say, I did everything he asked, whether it went viral, whether thousands of people saw it, whether nobody saw it, whether one person, it did something for one person. I
Yeah.
did what he asked. And, and that's what it is for me. And I kind of had to just come to that place. And once I get my mind there and I'm thinking about that, I'm like, okay, God, I'm doing this for you. Whether you didn't say fame would come from it. You said don't despise small beginnings, and you
Mm,
rejoice in seeing the work being done. I'm doing the work.
mm, yeah.
so so it's just trying to get the voices out of my head and moving past those voices to continue to do what I'm passionate about or what he puts on my heart to do. And that's hard sometimes,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. It
especially
gets
if you don't have
noisy
the
in there.
support.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, it gets noisy in there. And so learning to sift through the noise and recognizing it as the noise versus like, what is your heart telling you to do? And I was really battling myself with like, your heart's costing you a lot of money right now. That's not untrue. And I do need to be more savvy with some decisions I make within things. I've made a whole list today of like, these are all spots that you and your team can hit on that it'll make a big difference if you can get just tighten the ship in one of these things. But your heart isn't the issue. And so I had to change that narrative that my heart was, you know, draining my savings. Like, no, your heart's not draining your savings. You're following your heart. Now there's some habits and some things you need to tighten up within the administration piece that are an issue, but don't believe the lie that your heart is the problem. And what's being put on your heart is the problem. And so yeah, I think that's so important to remember. And you and Kim have both touched on that of just being, honoring that, and trusting ourselves and trusting that messaging and trusting that voice that's telling us to trust these next steps that we should be taking and not getting lost in the muck that tries to take us down along the way. Because there are going to be all kinds of those voices in our head. There's going to be those voices of naysayers that don't get us or they don't get themselves. And so because they don't get themselves, they lash out at other people and not taking that personally. And I think that can be really tricky. I think if we as women are very mindful of that and how what we do impacts other people, but also like measuring, like, is what they're saying actually true? Is it something you can always, I think you can, sometimes you can over, what's the word I'm looking for? Overgive isn't really the right phrase, but give too much credence to voices that are pushing back. You can take the truth from the narrative that might be served you that maybe you need to look at, but also not let their pain, their discomfort, or their lack of understanding lead you to believe you're doing something that isn't actually exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And so I think being able to sort through all of that, and we're here to remind each other of that too. So, all right, Rachel in her beautiful fall orange. How are you doing today, my friend?
I am doing great. I am just so grateful for these opportunities because these conversations that we have, not only as friends, but as women, are remind me on days where I don't believe in mankind that they're not all bad.
No kidding. It's been that kind. I want to sit with that. It's been that way the last couple of weeks here. It has been a little bit of a mess fest. I could use other words. I'll say with mess fest, but
I
I'll leave it
like
at
Mess
that.
Fest. But I just think that so many of us, especially in the entrepreneurial world like us, we get in our own way so much. And because of those voices in our head, that I've become so aware of them. And I'm sure, well, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm sure, do you guys do this where if you're kind of thinking about your day and like the thoughts go on repeat and you say it like in your head like 10 times? Does anyone else do that?
Oh yeah.
That's my normal life.
Okay, so I started having this conversation, even if it's out loud. It's like, okay, I've told myself that enough. Let's move on. Like, let's have a new thought because I know that I can get myself stuck in this reel of things that I have to do, or this person's behavior, or what's going on in my life. And I just want to work on quieting my mind. So even if it's me like on the treadmill, I'm like, shut up. You know what I mean? It's just like finding a place or a space where I can be quiet. And it's hard. It's super hard, but again, I've done this to myself my whole life. And even if the things I'm saying to myself are kind and nice and positive, I don't want to have this conversation like 10 times. So yeah, I'm making space for new thoughts. I'm making space for being kind to myself and being kind to my brain, because just like all of our other muscles, it's a muscle and it needs friggin' rest, right? So I don't want to wake up in the morning, the minute I wake up, when I say thank you, and then the chatter starts. So I'm really kind of making an effort to work on that. And I just want to share that I had this amazing experience last week. One of my friends that lives here, she's very artsy and she's very into community. And she invited me to this thing called My Neighbor's Voice. Has anyone heard of this?
I have heard of that, actually.
Have you? Okay, so it is this deck of cards that a woman has created with questions. And so you're in a table of however many. I was in a table of 5 other people, strangers, other than my friend Robin. And you pick a question from the deck, you read it to yourself, you say it aloud, and then you answer the question. And no one is allowed to respond, make comments, interrupt you, interject, nothing. The whole table, it's an exercise in active listening. And it was so amazing and kind of life-changing for me because I realized how hard it is for me to be quiet. So it was good practice. And I highly recommend you guys looking into it. It's a website. It's called My Neighbor's Voice. You can do it with a bunch of friends. You can do it with strangers, but it really kind of shows us that we are all so opinionated and want to talk and want to be right and want to change people's minds. And I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, myneighborsvoice.org. We'll stick that in the show notes. I love that. I think one of the things that has been the most personally advantageous to me and also the people I'm in relationship with is hosting a podcast, and a panel has really forced me to be very cognitive of my ability to listen well and listen intently and allow, and I love to talk, y'all know that. And when I get excited, I will interrupt, not because I don't want to hear what you have to say, because I'm just so excited to share. Oh my God, me too. I get it. And my husband's like, that is rude. I'm like, you are right. And Also, I've been doing it for 55 years. So I'm learning. And, but that kind of really intentional activity where you are forced to, and this is something that we did in our relationship a couple of years ago. And we did it in our family where every time we were having some kind of a conversation where like we set expectations, this is going to be a complex conversation. We've got to talk about some hard topics. So we are going to have some active listening questions like, would you mind repeating that back to me to make sure I understood you correctly? And this is all after they've finished talking. So it's a different way of doing it, but I love that really intentional game. Holidays coming up, icebreakers. We have to, like, listening and also not connecting people's choices. Choice is not the right word. Kind of, I guess. We tend to attach people's value and humanity to a belief they might have or a choice that they made. And we're like, oh, they believe that. Well, they suck. They have no value. And I hate them. And I don't know them. So I'll give an example. There is a woman that I've done some stuff here within the community. And she's around my daughter's age. Great, does a lot of great things. She posted something last week. Put a couple of posts up in the last week on things that I vehemently disagree with. And also know she's a really quality human, and she does really important work for women, and has a well-intended heart. She and I just fall into a very different space in this particular landscape. And it really made me stop and question. If I didn't know her like I do, I would have made a snap judgment about her. She is not my person. She is bad. She is wrong. How could she think that? How could she say that? Blah, 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 blah. But because, and so it's like being mindful of like, listen, not everybody is going to be your people. And there are people you are not going to land in the same spaces on, but learning to listen and not just decide, continuing to see the humanity, continuing to see that we all have different experiences. We all have different stories. We all have different things that are true for us based on those experiences and stories. And we can disagree with someone without automatically jumping to they're a bad person. And I think that, so I love that game. And it just reminded me of that experience this week because it took me aback at first. And I really caught myself. I don't know if I can do any more things with her. I don't know if I can like and then I'm like, hold on a minute. What do you know about her? So what do you know about her? What in terms of your experience, in terms of And it was a really good gut check for me. Holding
Can
that
I say one
nuance.
more thing about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
The other thing that the facilitator did at the end when we all came back together, she said something so simple but so profound that to your point, I don't think we ever think about. And so she said, when someone is talking, instead of you going right into your story and, oh, like you said, we all want to connect and feel connected to people. Oh, me too, blah, blah. She said, say one of two things. She said, tell me more or go on. And it's like, you know what I mean? Because not ever have I said that to another person in a conversation. And it's just like, wow, we really just, and I am not trying to be mean, but it's true. We just all want to be talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just in the past couple of years, have we elaborated more and heard more and talked more about listening? But it's hard. It's a really conscious thing that we have to teach ourselves. So,
Yeah. Ooh, I'm putting that might be a good stocking stuffer for people. If you're a Christmas person, if you're Hanukkah, make it one of the 12 gifts. If you're none of the things, buy it for yourself, give it to your birthday, whatever. Treat yourself. However it is, you know. Or treat your family I think that is, and I think too, especially, and my team and I were talking about this today as we get ready in just a couple of months. I can't believe it's almost here. But in a couple of months, we'll be going into the holiday season, and we'll be back around to those table conversations with the crazy uncle and the gossipy aunt and the nosy sister, and you know, the creative kid that doesn't seem to be able to find their way. I mean, all those stigmas and stereotypes that we hear. That might be like a really good thing for everybody to do together, because what I have seen, at least in my experience, is when we think we know everything, we tend to want to be really vocal. And it doesn't, like, well, by golly, if I just say it enough, they'll believe me, and they'll see that I'm right too. Instead of just listening and being curious without the judgment. And maybe it's like, maybe I don't say anything about it today. Maybe I just allow them to be heard and seen as human and not looked down upon, or me thinking I know it all. And like I said, that doesn't mean we agree at the end of the day, but we can still come out of it without somebody always having to be right or wrong, somebody always having to be the bad guy and the good guy. Because it's just a lot more complicated and nuanced than that. Yeah. All right. I said a lot there. Nadine, we're going to let you go, and then we're going to go back around the circle and let everybody else ask questions, and I'm going to talk less.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. You're the host. I just sitting and listening to everybody. It's been quite interesting. I think there was a lot of like my take on imposter syndrome sort of coming into there. And then I thought, you know what? I've got the poem. So if you will indulge me, I will read something. This is called Women's Talk. All right. The deep self that has no name, she said, then rambled on about facades we recreate, like paper mache, one piece of news placed upon another, until all meld, unrecognizable, the innermost, starved, grey. So the mirror eyes dull the truth and let us move in blindness. And then she passed the bitterness around, and another crinkled her little dreams across the emptiness, piled 2 sugars in, and stirred.
Oh. Wow. Oh my. That wow.
I don't say anymore, do I?
Wow, you don't. Mic drop. There you go. I mean, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think we're just going to start having poetry hour with Nadine on here, because honestly, our panel a couple of weeks ago, you hit it on the head. So I'm gonna Kim, what comes to mind, not only as you hear what Nadine had to say about that, but also what you've heard from our other friends here?
I'm just glad that I came tonight. I'm feeling settled. Something I'm gonna, I'm used to talking to Rachel, so I'm gonna drill right back in though, and it's with Rashonda writing and Nadine's writing, and with Rachel, like, as you were talking, I'm like, write it out. We have to talk about writing it out. My brain has been on repeat, and I realized it just this morning, not knowing I was going to sit here and be with you today, that I've neglected my morning pages. And so for me, I wake, like the Kim at her best, right? At my very best, I wake and I grab a great cup of coffee and I write for 30 minutes, and I get all of that crap out of my head, everything that lives on repeat in my life. And when I get it on the page for no real purpose, the beautiful words come. and the clear words come, and the friendships come, and the relationship problems go away, you know? I mean, so yeah, just what a great group to land with tonight. I don't have questions. I just wanted to throw that out there and listen some more because y'all making me happy. So
Thank you, Kimmy. All right, Roshonda, how about you?
Nadine, first, I just want to say that I would love to use that poem for a podcast. Because sitting here, honestly, listening to you ladies talk, and then Melissa just, I love conversations like this because it just puts things out. You're around people who are pretty much going through the same thing, that you don't feel crazy, like, is it just me? And I feel like I had a lot of that this weekend, but not really having somebody that I could go to. I think, Melissa, we talk about this a lot. But people come to me, but so we need this, the voices in our head. But I was thinking about what Rachel was saying about speaking things out, and that is so important, because one thing that I learned this weekend is that silence will feed you things that's not even happening in real life. It's feeding you what it wants you to feed, because that's an empty space. But silence, you can kill silence, and you kill it by what Rachel was saying. It's just, you have to speak it out, because if it's in you, then it's just, I'm not that person. I'm not this. I am successful. I am, whatever. Then it has a way of, those voices has a way of kind of going to the background. But when they come out, or when you leave them in, then they can smother you. Melissa, it goes back to what you were saying earlier. I was thinking about eating the fish and spitting out the bones. I say that a lot because that means taking in what's good and leaving everything else, out, not eating the whole fish because you're going to choke yourself, but just taking in that good stuff and then throwing everything else out. Sometimes I forget that. But Nadine, that poem was beautiful. That hit the spot. And we women need things like that. So thank you so much for sharing that. It's beautiful.
So good. Good. All right, Rachel.
Again, I don't think I have questions other than just to say I'm so grateful for this opportunity and being with you all tonight. And I'm going to piggyback on Kimmy. And it's like, that is the beauty of life, and kind of always wanting to be better and evolving, that these situations come to you right when you need them. And to know that we are supported, we all live in different places. I just met Nadine tonight, and Rashonda, this is only the second panel we've been on, but it's just, it doesn't matter. My point is, it doesn't matter that we are here supporting each other and making each other feel seen and heard. And I am just super grateful for that. So thank you, ladies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nadine, any other thoughts?
Oh, I can read another one if you want.
Absolutely. Fire away.
Okay, this one's called Wine Talking. Fruit worn from 4 crabapple trees, breeze in the corner, watching us, watching them. Pink and clouded infancy and encircled like the child within the pen. The large onion-shaped glass bowls sing their bubble lullabies. Cradled, they exhale carbon gas. And we, ringed by our small talk, grow tall with language, as plants thrive with the warmth of a few tender words and a little touch. Will the crabapple wine drink stronger when all our rabble is drunk? One woman mists about the war, and how the crabapple child sings the squeeze back to her skin, with just a few little plonk, plonk, plonk sounds. And I look to the 4 bearing crabapple trees and see only shadows among them.
Wow. Well, I don't know about the all. I think that's a great way to wrap this up. I think that is just such a beautiful way to put the cherry on top of this conversation. I'm going to thank all of you again for being with me. I'm going to let you all share real quick where to find you. That will be in the show notes, in addition to the game that Rachel was talking about. And of course, and a link to Nadine's poetry book is going to be included in that, as well as all of your websites, because you all have got books and everything to share. But let's see, Kim, let's start with you, my friend. Where do we find you?
KimMosmanWellness.com or Kim Mosman on all social media outlets. Or you can find us and listen to us at the Whole Woman Podcast.
Woo! All right, Rachel, I'll let you pick up from there because you can kind of segue off of the Whole Woman Podcast.
Absolutely. So I co-host with this amazing woman, and we are called the Whole Woman Podcast. So listen in. Rachel Lavin Wellness is my website. Organized by Rachel are my social media handles, and my book is called The Donut Diaries.
All right.
What a great title.
It's a great book. Yeah, very good. Rashonda.
You can find the podcast Matters of the Heart with Rashonda, the girlfriend's girlfriend, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts and radio stations or whatever. I'm there. I'm also on TikTok at Inspo with Ro. So you can find me over there. I'm always posting things about the podcast. And of course, my new children's site, Set Apart Stories, is also on YouTube. So you can subscribe there to see the new book, Gobble Different, Joshua's Tune, coming out November the 11th.
Oh,
so congratulations.
Oh, so good. But that would be a fun little gift for all of our little ones that we've got in our lives. I love that so much. All right, Nadine, how about you?
My book, The Grey Between, is available globally on Amazon. My author's website is www.nadineellis.com. And my Instagram is at Nadine Ellis Poetry, or one word.
Okay, perfect. And then for me, Melissa, you can find all of our stuff at embracinglayers.com. Turning the page into a kind of a new way of showing up in the world. I'm doing speaking. So fill out our contact form if you'd like me to speak to you about the FEEL framework. We have our book, The Embracing Layers Unapologetically. It's not too late to join that fall book club. If you want to go to embracinglayers.com and connect to our Substack site for that. Got an online course, Embracing the FEEL Life, that I'm really excited about, and that our lovely Kim did the workbook for that coincides with it. It's probably the thing that I am most excited about that I've ever created. I just think it hits on all the points so well. So super excited about that. And, you know, I think parting thoughts today as we go into fall and we go into a new season, think about how you're going to invest in yourself this season. Think about the women you're going to surround yourself that support you, who you're going to allow into your space in terms of voices of support, but also how you're going to listen to those voices that are a little trickier. What can you learn from this fall as we enter, the last quarter of 2025? How can intentional listening impact your journey and your relationships? I think that's a really great way for us to go into the fall and kind of prepare ourselves for holiday gatherings and how we want to approach 2026. And that goes for me as well. That goes for me as well. Probably me more than anybody on here. I started a podcast and panel because I like to talk, and I realized I have to be really good at listening too. So here we are. All right. Thank you all for joining me today, ladies. All these wonderful women's information will be in our show notes. We hope that you feel as safe, seen, and known and heard here as those of us that are together on this panel. This space is for you to come and land and just know that life will life, and continue to take a step forward, continue showing up for each other, continuing knowing that you're worth investing in, that you are valuable, that you don't have to earn rest, that you don't have to earn love, the right to be heard, things that I feel so passionate about. And in all of that, let's really work on being great listeners this fall. So with that, take care. Have a great week. We'll be back with you not next Monday. Next Monday's my birthday, so I'm taking that day off.
Happy
But I-
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. The big 5'6". I can't believe I was. I'm yeah. Whatever that holds for me.
It'll
And
be
then
great.
yes, thank you. I think so too. And so I'll be with you back with you in panel on October 1st next week on a Wednesday. So a little bit of a shift. More to come on that. Just follow our embracinglayers.com and there'll be updates on there about that. But thanks so much for listening. Take care, ladies. Have a great week. Thanks so much for being with me.
Bye.
Bye.